while we can talk about how Jubilant Foodworks was a one-trick pony where they were only dependent on Domino's, but there are 2 or 3 differentiating factors. Now, this is a food tech or food aggregator. They've got inroads in the Chinese business. They've got inroads in the biryani business. I think they've acquired stake in other small companies as well. So they are now becoming what could be called as food aggregator. The difference between Zomato, Swiggy and a Jubilant Foodwork here is that the entire customer to the supply chain is currently owned by Jubilant Foodworks. Unlike Zomato, this is a business which is reporting profits. And when you have, so Aisha, a great company is one which adapts and which evolves and it changes completely. So the Jubilant Foodwork or what we've reported, let's say 5 years ago versus what we are likely to report in next 5 years would be a very different proposition. Because it is just not going to be a pizza delivery company which tried their hands into the restaurant business. I think now the definition of Jubilant Foodwork is as here's a company which is spreading their entire food aggregation business or the food tech into different areas, and that I think is the most exciting part here. We can endlessly get into this valuation part, Aisha, with Jubilant Foodworks, and I'm not saying that correction will not kick in, it will, but this is one stock which has been the fastest and the quickest multi-bagger in last 10 years. I mean, from IPO to where it is right now, they've gone through the bouts of slowdown and volatility, but this is one company which has created phenomenal amount of wealth. Let's look at the 10-year chart, then I'll throw it back to you guys. The 10-year chart of Jubilant Foodwork, while we always think that the ultimate multi-bagger in India has been Bajaj Finance, from the listing, which is more than 10 years actually now, look at the chart. This is Jubilant Foodworks, I think Friday's chart. But let's look at the chart as long as last 10 years. If our producers have it, they will be able to stretch it out. But we're still with the Friday's chart. But that's the point I'm trying to derive and trying to indicate that here's one company which in a sense is now completely changing stripes to become a food aggregator, and markets know about it. But the only new thing which I think has come is the word that the CEO has said, that we are entering a period of hyper growth, and that word hyper growth I think is the most interesting one. There you go. I mean, look at Jubilant Foodworks in last 10 years. It is up, wow, am I getting it right? It's up 33 times. That's the kind of wealth the stock has created in last 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at the last 5 year itself. There's been a staggering move on Jubilant, and talk about the 52-week low. That was about 2100 on the stock price, and currently it's sitting at 4100 thereabouts. The 52-week high was that of 4272. The other thing on Jubilant, I mean, we can go on talking about how the business is going to shape up, Nikunj. I was just thinking that they already have the last mile connectivity as well as the infrastructure ready. I mean, what takes Jubilant from becoming a Zomato or a Swiggy? They just have to get the tech in. They already have the infrastructure ready with them.
You're right, Aisha, but the big difference here is that Jubilant Food is not just an aggregator. Jubilant Food is a company where they're using their own supply chain or network in order to promote their own brand. So they're not going to be perhaps experimenting with becoming an aggregator, because the minute you become an aggregator, your discount model and other modeling in terms of in business, it changes completely. This is a high margin, high cash return business, Aisha. So the business is structured in such a manner that you are generating a lot of cash every year, and that cash in a sense is getting deployed once again. The only challenge here, Aisha, is that when you are experimenting with some of the food categories, you may be successful and you may not be successful. For example, Dunkin' Donuts. They moved into Dunkin' Donuts, and Dunkin' Donuts in a sense has not been a very great foray for them. It's very difficult to establish, but will pizza consumption in India, will it peak out, or will it continue to grow the way it is growing? It's an habit. Will pizza continue to grow in small tier towns? Will there be anything disruptive which could come from Swiggy and Zomato in terms of coming up with new features? So the USP of Jubilant Foodworks a couple of years ago was they give you pizza in 30 minutes. That got challenged because of Swiggy and Zomato, but they managed to rebuild their infrastructure by extending into areas like biryani, Chinese food. I think they're moving into some other categories as well. They've acquired something in US. That's there. But the stock couple of years ago had suffered. Why? Because the promoter, in a sense, was changing goalposts. First they decided to increase the royalty, which because of shareholder pressure they had to bring it back. So there were some challenges which for the moment is getting sorted.